Hello there, happy friends. Even Star here. I'm still not in the shed for another day. Kind of trying to get some videos out of the way because I've been doing some traveling and we'll be doing some traveling. So trying to get all my schedule done. So that's why it's like I'm doing all these videos at my mom and dad's house. anyway, I'm here to talk to you about all of the fabulous free cross-stitch designs coming to the website next week. I hope you have enjoyed or have been enjoying Mental Health Monster Week. We've got a bit of a change of pace coming up next week with Octoberfest. Yes, Octoberfest. One of my other passions in life besides cross stitch is craft beer. And living in the UK like I do, I'm a bit spoiled for choice for craft beer. Been a huge craft beer fan for many years, and I finally get to share my passion in the form of cross stitch with all of you. So we've got 5 new free cross stitch designs inspired by craft beer and Octoberfest. And there's also a brand new Patreon exclusive design, like a really great, big, huge, epic beer-inspired cross-stitch pattern for my Patreon patrons. Just a reminder that you can become a Patreon patron. It is only $2 per month for 3 fabulous, epic cross-stitch designs per month exclusive to you. And still available if you are one of my first 25 subscribers to subscribe for a year. You get one of these guys, a paper bag bear, at the end of the year. So let's launch into the 5 free designs coming to the website next week, starting on Monday. Now, like I say, these designs were inspired or have been inspired by my own love of craft beer, and that's a movement that's been growing in size for a couple of decades now in the UK. And this is also the time of year where I'm starting to think about Christmas gifts for people, and I know people who cross stitch, this is the time of year that they're starting to think about Christmas presents. And most of the designs this week have I kind of like bore that in mind, because you might have a craft beer fan or a home brewer in your life who you just can't think of what to get them for Christmas. Maybe stitch them a brewing or beer inspired cross stitch design. Starting with this one, All You Need Is, and you've got barley, hops, water, and yeast there. Yes, the little brown blobby thing at the end is yeast, and that is all you need to make beer, or indeed just about any kind of fermented drink. You need something that provides sugar, like a grain like barley, or a fruit like grapes. I make my own wine using things I pick in the English countryside, like blackberries and stuff. So if you wanted, you could substitute that little sort of barley sheaf there for a fruit of your choice. But really, that is all you need for beer: is barley, hops, water, and yeast. And the amazing variety of beers that you can create with these 4 ingredients just continually blows my mind. And if you've got a craft beer fan or a home brewer in your life, I'm sure they would love this. Really simple design. You can substitute the colors. I tried to make the colors match the ingredients, but you could change the colors of the border around there to match your decor or your preferences. You could do some really psychedelic colors there for the ingredients. And it's also a really easy design for a beginner. So if you're just beginning cross stitching, maybe you just started this year and you want to make something for someone that you love for Christmas time using your new skills, this is probably a really good one for you. Now, the next one, and it is my feeling that craft beer and puns are a match made in heaven. So many beers that are made by craft brewers have some kind of like silly pun name, usually using maybe the name of the hops or the style of the beer. I just think I have so many more beer puns I could have done this week, but I tried to limit myself for 5 because, you know, craft beer and beer is not for everybody. But I think I'll be definitely revisiting beer as a theme at some point in the future because there's just such a rich vein of puns to mine there. But this one, I don't know if you've got it yet. You put the gas in my dank. And if you've got, especially an IPA fan, they're gonna love this. You know, those American India Pale Ales using those New World hops. They just have those really strong, and they call them dank, resinous flavors. So delicious. And again, you've got little cute kawaii yeast there, and yeast is what puts the gas in your dank. If you're making your own India Pale Ale, you need yeast because that's what puts the carbonation in there, right? So again, if you've got a craft beer fan or a home brewer that you know, you want to show your appreciation, I'm sure that they would love this kawaii puntastic cross-stitch design of the hops and yeast. You put the gas in my dank. Next up, we have this sort of tall format cross-stitch design, and this is for someone who is a home brewer. I am a home brewer. I make my own wine. Sadly, I don't have the space to make my own beer right now. I would love to make my own beer, but if you've got a home brewer or you are a home brewer, I know that craft brewers, they love to say that you know, their beer is made with love, but beer is also made with yeast farts. I don't know if you knew that, but it is. It's made with yeast farts. Lots and lots of yeast farts. And if you have especially a home brewer in your life, I'm sure they would appreciate this joke because, you know, it is yeast farts, but it just makes things taste so good. I have a very special relationship with my own microbes for making wine. I'm always very proud of them when I come home and I see the demijohn bubbling away, and it's like, oh, all my yeasts are farting. They're working hard to fart and make wine, right? It's great. This is a maybe not so beginner-friendly design. It's small, like it's not a big design, but there's loads and loads of detail in there with the back stitching, especially. It gives that crate of the little beer bottles just a lot more life than if it was sort of left without the sort of detailing of the back stitching in there. So maybe not for a beginner, a more of a challenging design. Definitely a funny one. I think brewers and craft brewers, they've got a good sense of humor, and I'm sure they'd appreciate this one. Next up, we've got a 2-for-1, and I posted this up on the Facebook page. And if you don't follow the Facebook page, please do follow the Facebook page, because that is where I announce and put links for all the new cross-stitch designs coming out every single day. But I also run votes and polls and things on there because I'm interested in what you think of some of the designs. If I'm in the middle of designing something and I'm really just not sure which way to go, I'll often put up a vote on there and get you guys to vote on that. And this is one of those that I put up there to vote on. It is a vintage tap room design, and this is inspired by those vintage pub and bar mirrors that you often see in pubs and bars, especially in the UK. I can't speak for the United States especially, but brewers and breweries used to produce merchandise, like promotional merchandise that pubs would put up to advertise, you know, beers and liqueurs and things like that. And they would often be, you know, either a tray, or they would be these mirrors that you'd put up on the wall and they'd be painted. So that's what inspired this design. And you've got two choices. You've got one that's just got a blank background, which is the text and the frame and stuff on it. And because I wanted to have that antique mirror feeling, I did another version of it with a background that was meant to look like sort of that antiqued, perished mirror. So not like brand new, shiny, reflective mirror, but something that's aged and maybe the silverings come off the back a little bit, that you often see, you know, if it's up in a pub and maybe they haven't redecorated in like 100 years, it's probably still sitting up there. And tap room, right? British pubs, so they would often have a room called the tap room, where it was, sometimes that was like the men only, the men only room would go in there, you know, they'd go in there. Tap rooms have become very hip and trendy again. My partner and I have one that we go to near us, and it's just a guy in a hole in the wall with some kegs, and yeah, it's a tap room. And I'm thinking maybe you have a tap room in your house, even if it's just, you know, the beer fridge in the basement where you keep all your craft beer. If you do have a craft beer fan in your life, or you're a craft beer fan, I bet they'd love to put this up in their sort of their craft beer cellaring area. And you've got two choices. You can do the full coverage, one with the antique mirror background, or the one without. Someone on the Facebook page suggested that this would actually be perfect for a dyed fabric. So maybe you've got a dyed cross-stitch fabric that has an antique mirror look. I was also thinking, I think Aida, they do sort of sparkly fabric as well. I think that would be perfect for this, to give it a little bit of that sort of mirror shine. And finally, the last free design next week, another fantastic beer pun, because like I say, beer and puns, just they're meant to go together, right? You can't get away from it. And yep, I'd tap that with a keg. Kind of speaks for itself, I think. But I enjoyed doing this one because it's a simple design, but the keg has lots of really nice shading and detail in it. There's no back stitching in there to give it that depth. It's all just cross stitch. So if you're a beginner, or maybe sort of a more advanced beginner, you won't be so daunted by this. That sort of, the colors are kind of all mixed up there, a little bit of confetti going on, but still I think it's a great design for a beginner. And you can also change the text to be whatever color you want, and that's the same with the tap room design as well. You don't have to have blue and yellow on there. It could be any colors you want to match your decor. And that's kind of what I liked about the designs this week, is that most of them are like really simple. You could change the colors to suit yourself, which I think is important for a cross stitch. You know, it's kind of about you and your environment and what your preferences are. And I like to make cross stitch designs that make it easy for people to switch those elements in and out if they want to. So those are all the free designs coming up next week, starting on Monday. Also coming up Monday is a exclusive epic beer Patreon cross stitch design. It is this huge full coverage. I think is it 12 pages? I think it's 12 pages. The finished design, if you're working it on 14 count, is almost 16 inches square, so it's well over a foot square. It's a great big sort of meaty poster type design. I've made it square because square designs are like easy to frame, and it's got sort of a, I don't know if it's a mid-century modern or more of an Art Deco feel, maybe kind of a mix-up of those two styles. It's not hugely complicated. It's great big sort of blocks of color, like more like a lithography print. So there's not a huge amount of shading in there. There's some nice detailing on that bottle opener in the one corner there, a little bit on the hops, and a little bit in that sort of that barley, or that could be like wheat there if you're thinking about Weiss beer. And you've got, you know, styles of beer, names in there. You've got a great big what I consider to be an English pint glass. That style of glass is called a nonic pint glass, and that's a perfect glass for drinking English bitters from, which is, one of my favorite styles of beer. You've got some IPA in there, Bock, Ghost, and the color palette is really simple. I know it looks like there is a lot of colors in there, but it's just basically maybe 5 or 6 colors with different shades of color. So again, you could substitute a lot of this to be your preference. I just like that color palette because it's October. It was kind of a fall color palette with like the reds and the browns and yellows in there, maybe still a little bit green, but really simple. I think it would take a long time to do, and if you did do it, there'd be a lot of love in there. So if you're going to stitch this for somebody for Christmas, that's somebody that you love and someone who loves beer a lot. I would love to get this, but unfortunately I'd have to stitch it myself. But I also like this because you could take just one of those little squares and just stitch that on its own, right? That'd be really easy to do, and you could put all these things together. Maybe you could make bookmarks out of them. You could make little Christmas tree ornaments out of them. So you don't necessarily have to stitch that all together. You could just take elements from that you like and make maybe smaller gifts for people in your life from that. And as I said, this is a Patreon exclusive. And as I said in the beginning, Patreon is only $2 a month to subscribe. I'll leave the links around here somewhere, and you get 3 at least big new designs per month to cross stitch. So that's it from me for this week. Next week I will hopefully be talking to you from the shed again. I'll be heading home to my shed. I've got lots and lots of work to do, lots and lots of designing to do, because I'm going to be traveling later in the year, and I always like to not have to work quite so much while I'm traveling. So I've got to get a jump on all of the great free cross-stitch designs and all of my Patreon designs coming up as well, which means there'll be lots of sneak peeks and previews coming up in the next few weeks for you guys. If you like my cross-stitch designs, please use the links around here to find them, and also share them with your cross-stitching friends on your social media. It really helps me grow the website. And until next time, I hope you're having a fabulous day, a fabulous week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.